Scouting provides youth, young adults, and even adults an opportunity to try new things, build confidence, and reinforce ethic behaviors. The best part about Scouting is it affects every Scout and Scouter differently. And that's because it offers so many different types of opportunities. I was not a Scout when I was younger. I got involved just like a lot of adults do when their son joins a Cub Pack or a Boy Scout troop. And I hung in there. Through the years, I've enjoyed being a part of many young adults on their road to Eagle, either as a committee chairperson, Scout Master, Treasurer, and most recently with the Order of the Arrow. For me, the best part of Scouting is guiding and empowering the youth to be their best. And for some, that isn't just achieving Eagle, it's more. Seeing a Scout go from thinking that he knows everything to actually knowing everything, the aha moment, priceless.
My most meaningful experience in Scouting is, it's still going on with the watching these Scouts grow up, doing the different activities and all, and mainly doing different activities, see what's going on, and different, as they come in, they ask you about different experiences that they never thought that you could accomplish through just joining Scouting and watching them at BB ranges and all, and some of them, the way they act, oh, I can't do this, but when you talk to them, they start doing it, and then they learn, they get excited about it, then when you watch them grow up. And then we do have one troop that I have in our district. The one Scout, every time he sees me, he comes up there and just calls me by my last name, he goes, Mr. Crockett, he shakes my hand, he asks how I'm doing and all, and what's going on.
I'm humbled to be recognized among so many volunteers who have served so many kids so well and for so long. I hope that I've given back to Scouting as much as I've gotten out of it. It's made me a better person. My parents set the good example of volunteering. My wife gives me the time, and our kids provide the inspiration. We've been asked to say a few words about our best experience in Scouting. The best one for me is when our oldest boy came home from 3rd grade and asked if he could join Cub Scouts. Over his 9 years as a Scout, I watched him challenge his own limits and grow in confidence and maturity. He learned to serve others and be a good example to his little brothers, so much so that they've wanted to do everything he's done in Scouting. After aging out of the program, he became an adult volunteer and now serves the program just as we hope all Scouts will. That's been my greatest experience in Scouting.
Okay, I think the best way to talk about Scouting and the best part of Scouting is for me to give you a little bit of my experience as a Scout. When I was a boy, I was a Cub Scout for a couple of years, and then we moved out in the country and disconnected from Scouting for a while. I moved on from there. In high school, a couple of boys said to me, friends, they said, you should come out and do Sea Scouts with us. And I said, what's Sea Scouts? And they said, it's Boy Scouts with boats. Well, how good can it be? So I did that, and I really had a lot of fun as a Scout, as a boy, and eventually I went to, like everybody else, I had to go to work for a living, and that was the end of my Scouting career for a long time. My son came home from 1st grade, and he says, Dad, I want to be a Cub Scout. And I was, well, we can do that, son, because that was a lot of fun. I had fun with it. I bet you can too. And he did, and then my younger son joined, and they both became Eagle Scouts. And I'm very proud to say that they did that. And somehow or the other, I wound up still Scouting, and they're not Scouting anymore. But it's been a really good experience. I think Scouting is probably the best rounded program in the world for youth. There's so many different possible variations that you get into with Cub Scouting, Boy Scouting, venturing. Nowadays we have family scouting. We're bringing the girls in. It's a wonderful time to be a scout. And moving on as an adult, I was asked to be a Jamboree Scoutmaster, and I was a regular home troop Scoutmaster for several years. And I've really enjoyed all that experience. And I was asked after doing that to serve on as a commissioner for the district, which I've been doing for several years now. And in my experience, that there's so many things, even as an adult, that you can do in scouting. You can do Order of the Arrow, you can do NYLT training with the youth, you can do Wood Badge. And I've done most of these things, and I'm still scouting, I'm still having fun. And I think that probably the best part of scouting is everything about scouting, but the number one thing is that as an adult, and we can serve scouts by giving them the best possible program so they can have the best scouting experience. And I think that is the best part of scouting, is the youth program itself.
So how has scouting helped me be prepared for life? As a Cub Scout, I focused on do your best. And what that really meant for me in scouting, life, and family, it was easy to understand. Wake up every day and do the best that you can. As a Boy Scout, I quickly learned be prepared. And again, in scouting, that was easy to understand, but in life, with family, in work, and in school, it was easy to think about how I was going to be prepared for the day and what goals I was going to accomplish that day. The next thing that I learned, though, in Boy Scouting was the EDGE method. How to learn and grow myself as a young scout, and then how to teach others and bring that knowledge to the next person. And I carried that forward as a father, as a family man, as an employer and an employee in a business, and in scouting every day in the volunteer positions that I have. But the last thing that I'm most passionate about scouting and why I still do it every day is the adventure. As a scout, I couldn't wait for that next camping trip and that next activity that I was going to go do and that next challenge that life was going to present. And I learned a passion for that. And today, I apply that to everything that I do in my volunteer positions with scouting, in my work effort, and the next work opportunity that will help me grow and learn, and that next life adventure, and the next life adventure that I have with my family and my kids. So with that, that's what scouting means to me.
The best part of scouting was and is the family aspect of the program. As a PAC committee chairman, it was my responsibility to talk to the parents about getting involved with the PAC. It was easy and natural because I could look around the room and see my own family participating in the program. Matter of fact, even before I joined scouting, my family was involved in the program. My brother was in Cubs. My parents were unit leaders. As I got older, my parents got involved at the higher levels, and I followed along the way. My father was one of my biggest mentors through scouting. Always proud to work with him in all aspects of the program. Today, even though there's very few of my biological family left in the program, I do believe that over the years I've developed family-type relationships with fellow scouters, and I'm very happy and pleased about that.
My first week-long summer camp, I think, was one of the most important things in scouting. When I was 12 years old, of course, I didn't know that. So my first summer camp was at Camp Roosevelt, and it was run by the National Capital Area Council where I grew up, and the camp was on the shores of the Chesapeake Bay. we had to take merit badges, but there were no first-year camper programs, and I decided to take rowing. So the rowing instructor, after my first day, said, "You'll never get the merit badge, so don't bother coming back to class." Now that's because the boats were made of wood, they were heavy, the bay was rough. Well, I was pretty scrawny, so it just didn't work out. So I had lots of free time, and I ended up at the ranger's shop. And the ranger sort of took me under his wing for the week, and I ended up building 10 platforms. So it ended up being a pretty good week at camp. So 50 years later, why that's important is I learned that what we as adults say to kids really have a big influence. And a potentially bad experience was turned around by a camp ranger. Now, ultimately, I ended up being a camp ranger. I ended up knowing how to row and paddle, and I still do that. So it turns out that the most important thing is how we teach a skill and how we treat people. You have to be patient. So now, even if I'm working at the camp, hopefully I can do as well as that camp ranger did with me.
Since my father died when I was young, my mother pushed me into scouting to get the male association with adults. But I got so much more out of scouting than that. Scouting made me what I am now, and I've often finally looked back at it, which is why I continue just to give back to scouting. But my most memorable time as a scout was when I worked as a paper boy in order to raise all the money that I needed in order to be able to go to Philmont. I first learned about Philmont when I was about 7, when my older brother went there, and that was my dream that I fulfilled when I was 15. That Philmont was the life-changing experience that I had. Looking back on it, my life was so much different after Philmont. It made me a new person and was just a phenomenal experience. In fact, at one point someone asked me, "Is this Philmont thing some sort of religion?" And my only answer is yes. But scouting is what it is. It made me what I am, and that's why I appreciate it.
I feel passionately about the Scout program, which has withstood the test of time for more than 100 years. The beauty of the Scout program is that it delivers a product without the recipients knowing that it's being delivered. No boy has ever joined Boy Scouts, or very few boys have ever joined Boy Scouts, with the intent of developing their character. They join Boy Scouts to have fun with their friends, to do things that are interesting, and character development just sort of creeps in as an integral part of the program. Boys generally don't think about trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, etc. But later on in life, everybody has an epiphanic moment who's been a Boy Scout, and that moment causes you to think about those virtues and what they mean for your everyday life and what they mean for the people around you. And so you think about those things every day, at least I do. What does it mean to be trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, brave, clean, and reverent?